welcome to AlphaLuxe Drives. We're in the C63 AMG by CarBahn Autoworks. It is the GTS model. So right now we're in comfort mode, just kind of putting around, and I mean, it's very supple. The tuning on this is actually really great. I'm not sure if they can go into the different modes, but I'm assuming they can and tune different things. The comfort mode is still very soft, quiet. The gear changes are almost invisible. You don't really notice them. But I think we need to put this in sport mode. The steering actually feels pretty good in this mode. It's not giving as much feedback as I'd like, but there's a nice little weight to it. It's not overdone, kind of like the new M cars, in my opinion. This thing goes. These engines come from AMG, pretty underpowered for what they can actually do. I mean, I think it's pretty fast for what it is, but when you get this CarBahn tune on it, I mean, it's just night and day. This car has 7 gears. You don't really have to downshift because it has so much low end torque. It just pulls you out of the corner. Just yanks you. The sounds this thing makes on the downshifts and when you let off, just so awesome. Really fun. When you ease into the throttle and have it right at the right RPMs, you can hear the turbo spool, and man, it's the coolest sound. When you have an aftermarket tuner touching a car, it's easy for them to get carried away with power and not worry about comfort and all that other stuff, but CarBahn really offers the whole package with this tuning setup. I mean, they have everything covered. I've always said these AMG cars are closer to American muscle than they are to luxury, even though they're Mercedes. You get kind of the best of both worlds, and what really sets it apart is just that sound. I don't get that with them cars, at least not anymore. One thing I've noticed is that with these aftermarket turbos on some of the cars nowadays, really get a lot of boost lag, and sometimes that has to do with the tuning, sometimes it has to do with just the size of the turbo, but I don't notice boost lag with this. It feels, as far as the power delivery goes, stock, but as far as the actual power and torque itself, far from stock. I mean, this thing really shoves you.
So the car handles very, very well. Pretty flat through the first corner. A little bit bouncy here in Mulholland Canyons. Brakes are phenomenal. I gotta tell you, the power is absolutely fantastic, above 4,000 RPM. The car's really not that much louder than factory, but it does handle the bumps very well. And you know, I was a bit skeptical with the 20s that are on the car in terms of how it would handle, but it's, you know, it surprisingly kind of just eats them up. Very similar in responsiveness on the suspension compared to the GLC 63 with the magnetic ride suspension. So, you know, these KW sleeves that the car has on it absolutely do a great job of handling the bumps. Wow, this car pulls like an absolute freight train. Must say, you know, the suspension is softer than my liking. But, you know, for a car of this weight, you know, 3,800 pounds, it handles the bumps very well. It's just, it's a bit softer than I would prefer. It does give you that confidence of having a lot of mechanical grip, you know, partially due to the tires and the width of the wheels. You know, CarBahn increased the front rim size by 1/2 inch and the rears by a full inch. So there's definitely quite a bit of mechanical grip, and it gives you that feeling of having that mechanical grip within the car. It's just, again, that suspension is a bit softer than I would prefer, but this you can easily daily drive, you know, even in the individual CarBahn setting as well. Very, very confidence-inspiring setup. You do get a lot more intake noise with the carbon intakes. Turbos don't really sound much different than the factory ones, but you do hear a lot more induction noise. You definitely get more of that pronounced turbo whistle. I mean, it sounds absolutely phenomenal. Just picture the factory AMG sound, just amplified. You know, just further talking about the suspension, it's definitely gives you feedback. It's just, you know, the rebound can definitely use some adjusting. I've played around with the different suspension settings. Obviously this is on, you know what, let me just see if I can pull it up one more firm level and see how that is. See if that adds to it. Because the way it's set up under individual mode for CarBahn is, it was on basically that medium suspension setting. And let's see how it does with the hard setting. I'm on a bumpy section here, and you know, even on the hardest, stiffest suspension setting, it handles all these little micro bumps very, very well. I mean, the suspension is super compliant. You know, from about 2,500 RPM, as soon as you give the gas and let off a little bit, the turbos do make that an induction noise, which isn't as pronounced on the factory car as it is on this. So, I mean, the noises and the feedback that this car provides are absolutely, for the driver at heart, very, very much something that an enthusiast would enjoy from a kind of pops and bangs standpoint.